And the answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice, but are limited to the dissemination of general information. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the options presented. Encompass More Asset Management is registered as an investment advisor with the SEC and only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration with the SEC does not imply a certain level of skill or training. And the guys are here. Clinton, Galen, Levi, all in the studio with us this morning. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. All right, I have a big question right off the bat because I was asked this over the weekend. Not over the weekend, actually, last week. The question was, how do I know I have enough money saved to retire? And this was a person who was asking me this question who just turned 50 years of age, Galen.
Well, I mean, there's no real right or wrong set standard answer to that question, but I mean, it's whenever you don't feel anxiety over retirement, when you feel like you have enough, like if your house is paid, maybe that was one of your goals and your monthly income is enough for you to sustain. And then you have enough, slush fund on the side to get by. If that makes you happy, that makes you happy. If your goal is $2 million, then grind it till you get $2 million, to each his own, really.
The second part of his question was, what happens when an emergency comes up and I don't feel like I'm prepared for that emergency financially?
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's actually prepared for an emergency, but you got to do what you got to do, and that's what I tell people, even while you're working, if you have to divert saving money from your retirement for that emergency, the emergency is going to take precedence because that's the immediate response that needs done and taken care of in your life. So you always need to address the situation head on and then, kind of figure it out and roll with the punches from there.
All right. So those are the questions that I was asked to ask you guys here this morning. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on lately with GCES and what folks are going to need to know in the future about their retirement savings.
So I do want to back up for that, guys, for whoever's question that was. So I think one of the things that I would say is that whenever Levi and Galen sit down with you is a lot of people don't know. They can't, even for you to say, well, do you feel like retiring? Do you know? Do you want to? Like, that is so up in the air about emotions and stuff. Whenever they want to put it in black and white and put it in numbers, what they're going to do is they're going to sit down with you. They're going to go over all of the money that you have. For this person that's 50, they're probably not going to be able to retire until 62 to get Social Security. So they're probably going to go until they're 62. He would explain that you can't get Social Security until whatever age, probably 62, right? So that's not even going to come into their income until then. So you're either planning until then or you're not, because you're not going to have that income in retirement. After that, he would look at all of your other things that you would make and how much money that's actually going to pay you in retirement. Then they look at that and say, okay, if you're retiring on this date, you're going to make this much from this source. You're going to make this much from this source, this much from this source. Right now, you're making this much. And compare the two of them so that you could realize whether you're going to have an income increase or a loss in retirement based off of what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So that's how he'll actually put it into black and white for people while he's sitting down with them, for them to actually understand what it's going to look like to retire. Because the question I think you're asking isn't so much, when can I decide to retire? When will I be ready to retire? It's when will I financially be comfortable to retire?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Levi, I imagine you have plenty of people who are of a certain age, of a younger age, that say, I'd love to retire at this time and start doing things I really want to do. But then it's the potential between now and an age more appropriate to retire that you have to do some figuring and decide what are you comfortable with.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people, you get to that point and they realize it's not feasible. I can't go at that age. I have to wait till 65. So it is good to see that. But Galen said the best word, anxiety. When you could take away the anxiety out of retirement and you don't have to worry about the market, that's when you get to the point where you know that you made it, in your retirement.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everything in retirement, I mean, everybody thinks that a financial advisor is all numbers, but really it's not. We're kind of like a therapist. You're going to talk to us about every little thing that you think that you could have a problem with into retirement, and then we help address the money situation behind it on how that'll be okay if you still have a mortgage. It'll be okay if you have an emergency coming up because you have $30,000 on the side that we aren't even counting for. So while Clinton's correct, there's a lot of mathematic behind it. You know what Levi said about the anxiety, you know when you're ready to retire. And when you're like 35 years old and you've just had it and you've thrown everything in the air and you're like, I'm done, you're not ready to retire. You just want to retire.
Big difference there.
Big difference.
Factors such as I don't have kids now, I may have kids then, and I want to be sure that even as I reach retirement age, there's something left for them. Those things that we talked before about not really planning for things. This may happen sometime in the future. How can I protect myself now, or how can I set myself up now so that if it does happen, I'm ready to go?
I feel like this is a long-term care question. Like that's usually one of the things that we recommend putting inside of an annuity. Long-term care, is going to help you cover nursing homes, stuff like that, into retirement. And I think that's probably one of the biggest questions that people have as far as expenses. Usually, if you're at retirement age, you're going to know whether or not you're going to have another kid. I would like to hope.
Well, one of the things that I've seen a lot of grandparents taking over the grandchildren and taking care of grandchildren.
Well, yeah, that's a
And that is an unexpected expense that you didn't see coming, but you're more than happy to pay the bills. You know, so that's one of those unforeseens.
Yeah. When you stop and you think about it, Levi, it's interesting that some of the things that we consider to be essentials now in retirement planning, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, people didn't even think about these things.
Yeah, it definitely makes the situations different because we talked to a lot of people, with the healthcare. That's a huge concern. There are people who get married later. Not really. I don't talk to a lot of people having kids at 65, which is probably a good thing. But, people, we could show you're getting married. We know what your costs are going up to here. Add this expense in now that you guys are moving in together. So we could show that kind of stuff, which is better. The kid is definitely, throwing in kids definitely makes it a little bit different.
That grandparent factor, though, that Galen was talking
that
about,
we see
that's
that a
big,
lot.
isn't it?
That's big.
Yeah.
It is big. And a lot of people are not only taking care of the grandchildren, but they're adopting them. So they're then taking on even more responsibility. And not even just grandparents. People are adopting children. And when you adopt a child, there's also, how are you going to care for that child into retirement? Because now you're responsible for somebody else.
Yeah. It's interesting that as we get into this and some of the other things that get added on to previous considerations, that we're really talking about how personal it is to sit down and plan for your retirement. And that's really what you guys are all about.
Yeah. It's really not all mathematics. It's a lot of personal touch and communication, and mostly it's trust, because you have to trust the person that is holding all of your money for you and guiding you down the path. So it's the relationship that we forged together throughout the years that makes the, I would guess, returns make sense, whether you're making money or not making money. It's, up to you what your risk is.
Yeah. It's really fascinating to me that it comes down to something like that, because I would guess, Clint, that there are a lot of people that are absolutely shocked about everything that you must consider when you're considering retirement.
We have had a lot of people and clients comment and say, we've gotten letters from people that say, hey, thank you so much for meeting with my husband, spouse, whoever, so-and-so is not giving me a hard time now about retirement. Do you know what I mean? Where a lot of people were scared about retirement going into meeting us, but Galen and Levi will both go over things that you probably don't even know to think about when you're retiring. That's the whole process. That's why our slogan is preparing families for retirement, because we don't just we're not just there to sell a life insurance policy or sell an annuity. All of our clients, when we work with them, we're there pretty much until the rest of their lives, and then we start working with their children when their children inherited what they have. So we're there with our people for a long time. We know the ins and outs of their finances and what their hopes are for their retirement. And we use that in making the numbers all work out correctly the best we can.
That preparing families part, that's a really big part of what you do.
I think that brings us back to the question you asked me like 4 times. What happens when my spouse dies? It's kind of, it's back into that. That's a lot of things that people don't consider into retirement, because you might be just skimming by with both of you alive. But what does happen if one person passes away, because there are going to be restrictions on income. Somebody's going to lose a Social Security check, so there are things to look out for in that sense. But really it's just understanding the basics of how much money you need a month.
Yeah, there probably are a lot of folks who say, okay, my Social Security is coming in.
Yep.
Her Social Security will come in.
Yep.
That's this for our family from now until the end of time. No, that actually goes away when one of those spouses dies.
Yeah, and people will take it right up to the very edge, like, okay, well, now we have $70 a month to spare, and we're making all our bills, and you're not taking into consideration inflation and how to build inflation in, or what happens if somebody does pass away, or an emergency. And that's kind of where the products that we do put people into, like an annuity that would give an income stream for a lifetime, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, Levi, when we think about all of this, when we wrap up our segment here today, sitting down with GCES sounds like a pretty darn good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a better financial plan and the full plan of seeing everything on the table, because we deal with everybody. So seeing everything on the table, and we're honest with you. I mean, me and Galen are pretty blunt with people and tell you can't retire yet. You're not going to be able to afford it, or you're good to go. Like most of the time, though, it's people that are shocked at how good they did. So that's good to see.
Yeah. Got to watch out for that good to go thing, though. Sometimes when you go, you're gone. All right. So people want to get in touch with GCES, want to get started on a retirement savings. Clint, what should they do?
Real simple. Give Lorraine a call in our office. She handles scheduling for Galen and Levi. Her number is 724-915-0005, or just stop into our office 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. We're right at 1780 Philadelphia Street, or you can visit us online at gces.us.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Boomer Sports on the way.